Like, I like MJF. I think MJF great. But this past week killed me.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, please, no more of this.
I've been reflecting a lot about the MJF conversation, and I think it's twofold. I think it is, number one, his work of late feels, as many people have been calling it, lazy in terms of his crowd reaction stuff.
He's doing what we just pretty much called that entire WWE pay-per-view.
Correct.
The basics.
The basics. He's doing it by the book, by the numbers, paint by numbers, promos. But putting him up against Jay White, a legitimately great promo, is making MJF automatically look worse. And that's not great. I think the other reason, I think it's like I think the other reason with MJF is that we have all seen, people who have been watching AEW have all seen peak MJF promos.
Yeah.
And that is the whole rivalry between him and Punk. You know, I talked about it before in terms of Punk being a sort of Pandora's box in terms of quality, and that MJF was part of that as well. There's a Pandora's box that opened up with MJF's quality of promos. We all saw how great at promos he can be. And then when he goes out there and does tofu and tells the crowd when and how to chant, it's like, well, hold on. Where's the great promo guy that I saw 2 years ago, right? So I think it's a twofold thing. It's that he used to be great and now he's not, and then you put him in comparison to a guy who is actively great right now, and as you said, filleting him every week. So what are we doing with this guy? You know, it's he has to change. He has to go back to where it was or evolve. This evolution of MJF isn't working in terms, and it's hurting. His baby faceness, I guess you can say, is actively hurting his promo ability, seemingly. And that is something that he needs to figure out, or that Tony Khan needs to change, because it ain't working right now, and it's working so badly that seemingly there isn't enough faith in their champion and their quarter-hour drawer to bring home the bacon this Tuesday for AEW. So I think that is a solid evidence on that case of what's happening with MJF and where he is seen for AEW in terms of a valuable asset, I guess, or as I said before, or they're protecting him, and they don't want, and they feel like they might lose, and they don't want the world champion to look like not a draw, so they're just not going to have the world champion on the show.
I think MJF is a baby face. There is like the perfect worker in there. And
Agreed.
He just hasn't figured it out yet.
Agreed.
And it can be difficult for someone who's never worked as babyface to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he is trying a lot of things, and but the problem is, I think a lot of those things aren't what most people look for when they're watching AEW.
Yeah.
Right. The Cole stuff was magic. I think, like, you like it or not, it was magic. It worked.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It's great. Like, it worked perfectly for what they were going for. However, that's gone now. Now you have to reshuffle. Now you have to get him back. And I think that hopefully by the end of this feud with Jay White, someone who goes in there, shoots from the hip,
mm-hmm.
and is just on his game pretty much at all times,
mm-hmm.
that will get MJF to where he's supposed to be. Like, I'm very hopeful for the rest of this feud, even after the first two things where it's pretty much been the Jay White show, right? I'm still hopeful because there's still a month to build this match, and we know MJF has greatness in him, right? We've seen it. We've seen it multiple times. Now it's about getting that greatness out and being consistent with that greatness. I think confidently MJF versus Jay White's going to be a phenomenal wrestling match.
Completely agree.
Not worried about that.
Yep.
It's about getting there. And I think we can get there with this being a two-sided rivalry rather than a one-sided rivalry of Jay White absolutely mashing him on the mic, which he has continuously done. And I think MJF has seen the tweets. No, I don't think. I know MJF has seen the tweets.
Oh yeah,
I know he has seen all this stuff.
probably read the articles. Seen the
he
tweets.
wants to be greater.
Yeah,
he wants to be the best. I have hope that he will do all he can to get there because he is a generational talent. He should be the best, and I think he will be. I think he can be and will be by the end of this feud closer to where more people want to see him. Like he has to get darker. Like he has to get to that darker side of what has made him great.
He has to
rather than
as Edge would put it. As Edge would put it, he has to get
grittier. Grit.
The dark.
He needs the grit. But Jay White versus Hangman Page, like, just want to bring this up, like for the Title Tuesday thing. That's phenomenal. Obviously,
yeah.
I think there's a world where both Hangman and Swerve are losing their matches, and it's probably due to each other. Because Swerve versus Chris Cage doesn't make sense, and you can't have the world title challenger lose.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see where they go next because I do think, based off of what I saw at MJF tweet and whatnot, he is now going to be like determined, and I think a determined MJF is the best MJF.
I 100% agree. One addition to the whole MJF conversation, if you want an additional meta commentary about everything.
I hate meta commentary on my wrestling shows.
Sure.
Which people do.
Sure.
Hopefully we can avoid more of that.
Sure. But stick with me here.
I'm with you.
Who is walking out with the title belt on Tuesday?
Jay White, baby.
Yep. Not even the world champion will have the championship around his waist. Not only is he seemingly not on the show, but the title won't even be around his waist. It's around Jay White's.
Jay White, the real world champion.
I think there's something to be said in terms of that taking place this Tuesday.